Hello and welcome to a special episode today of the A3 Football Show because we're going to be talking about a huge topic in scale, in size. It's something that we've been planning to do for a long time, and that's talking about the history of Manchester United, the modern history, though, of Manchester United. So that's everything from Fergie retiring in 2013 after winning our last Premier League trophy to where we find ourselves right now in 2026 with Michael Carrick as our manager. And it's been a hell of a journey. Everyone knows probably a lot more downs than ups. In fact, definitely a lot more downs than ups. But I think it's important to look back, analyze things if we're going to learn as a club. And I think this is important for the average Man U fan because there's a lot of narratives about what's gone wrong in the time since Fergie left, and I think a lot of it is nonsense. It'll come up during this episode, I'm guessing. But at the end of the day, we need to be better than we've been at any point in the last 13 years, and I think to get some hope again, we need to look through everything, all the mistakes we've made in the last 13 years, and and know what we need to do to avoid all of that. All right. So let's take it back to the beginning. You guys remember, of course, what it felt like. Let me ask you, actually, Jermaine, just to start off, do you remember what you felt like when Fergie left and what your expectations were for United?
Um, well, I was looking at the team and I was like, oh, it was a case of we've just won the league, so it's like, okay. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but the team should be able to hold up some kind of challenge. We should be able to do something. I remember because as far as we knew, the squad that we had, even though we didn't have the best players, it was a squad capable of winning the league. So I wasn't expecting too much of a decline. I was expecting us to, uh, even if we don't win, we're gonna put up some kind of battle, and we're gonna push it, push the other teams a little bit. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, like top four at worst, right? Like even
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
even fourth would have been kind of something crazy in my mind because we never finished fourth at that point. I remember, like, I think the worst we done was the third place finish a couple of times. But even when we were finishing third, it was to really strong teams, like great teams, all-time great teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Charlie?
Man, to be honest, like it was just a bad feeling that was going through me when they announced it, because it's like that's all I had known as a United fan, my whole life. Started watching football probably like properly from what I can remember, probably like '03. And since then, it's just been Fergie. United been running it under Fergie, and then it was a feeling of anxiety, a feeling of uncertainty, because we're going into the unknown, innit? Like we've seen all these other teams go from manager to manager, and you know, and United was still at the top, sticking with one guy. So we were. It's just a feeling. It's just going through change, innit? And we
Yeah.
didn't know what I was gonna feel like. There was a little bit of, I would say maybe, when they announced the new manager, there was a bit of excitement just to see, what the next manager could offer. But overall, I don't think, or if I'm speaking for myself, I wasn't really going into it with a positive attitude.
Right. I get you. I agree in terms of it was something new, right? So there was that in the back of my mind. I was kind of like, okay, maybe we're over exaggerating Fergie's impact here, and maybe we just have some top players. I don't know.
Mm,
I didn't really believe that, but like there was
yeah,
like part of me that was like hoping that was true, and
for for
you never
me,
know.
it was like we like there was like in my head, I wasn't thinking. Hopefully, the next manager can outdo Fergie. That wasn't even a possibility in my head. It was just hopefully he can, kind of keep it going, or or even almost get to that level. But
So the first guy in was David Moyes, of course, Fergie's chosen one, but not actually, because I don't know if you guys have you watched the Mourinho documentary yet?
No, I've been
Watched
hearing.
the
You
first two
haven't, yeah.
episodes.
But you seen the clip where Mourinho talks about turning down United in
Yeah.
2013, right? And yeah, I just watched all the episodes. It is a really good documentary. I'd recommend it. But yeah, he basically says Fergie called him up. He accepted the job. And then he basically later in that day pulled him up in tears saying, I can't do it. I've made a promise to Chelsea. You know, that's my club, blah, blah, blah. And you know, he turned it down and he went back to Chelsea instead. And I guess we settled for David Moyes. Do you think things would have been different if it was Jose? Just, you know,
Uh,
if you
me,
Yeah.
imagine this squad with Jose.
I mean, based on everything I've seen from Jose since then, I don't think that we would have. Again, I don't think it would have been a case of because the team was a little bit iffy, and maybe we would have made some different signings, you know, in that summer. But if it was this squad here with Jose Mourinho, I wouldn't be. You know, I'd be more confident than David Moyes. But you know,
Definitely.
yeah. But I'm not looking at it like we're gonna win the league again. You know.
Okay, well, I look at it like, look at the, like, okay, obviously, because we all know Jose did eventually come to United, and, you know, there's probably mixed opinions on how successful he was. But if he inherited this team, a team with all this experience, a lot more balanced than the team he actually did inherit, I feel like it would have set a better precedent for him to, you know, to build on, and for him to, because if you look at, you know, his time at Chelsea, for example, like his best time, his first stint at Chelsea, he came in, knew exactly what positions he wanted to improve on, and he got the players he needed, and he won the league first season. This one,
Yeah.
obviously, the main issue with our squad at this time, is probably the fact that we had quite a few aging players, you know.
Right.
But Jose likes that, you know. Jose thrives on that. He thrives on the sprint. So
Yeah.
he would have, I reckon, obviously certain players would have needed to be improved on, you know, just looking at that team. But
Yeah. Like if you look at this team here, right? It's interesting because a lot of the most experienced players weren't the ones in this starting lineup. If you look at the defense, like Vidic and Ferdinand, of course, Giggs, of course, but these guys were pretty much at the end. Looking back now, right? At the time, I thought Ferdinand and Vidic probably had a little bit more to give, especially Vidic because he wasn't that old,
Yeah,
right? He was
for
like
sure,
32. Yeah, but yeah, injuries it seem to have taken a toll on a lot of players in the squad body, and yeah, he might have lent on them in a different way rather than asking them to copy Phil Jagielka videos and stuff like that. I don't think. Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my god,
yeah. He really did that. Yeah. And okay, let's really think about what happened that season. Moyes took over, of course, with this squad and finished 7th place, which was our worst ever Premier League finish at that point by far. You know,
but what
uh,
kind of ego must you have as a person to come into the champions, the team that were literally champions the year before, and from a fucking average team that you know, fair enough,
To be fair,
you're doing well, best of the
he did
bad
build it.
bunch.
He did build it. You know, he did build that Everton team, so he
Yeah,
had
but they
pride in
didn't
that
win the
team.
league, and this is why I don't like rating, you know, these mid-table coaches as highly as other people, because they're not winning the league at the end of the day.
yeah, but
They're not.
how it's impossible to win the league with Everton. So how you have to have a way of judging them, right? You have to have a way of looking at them and saying, this can translate to a big team, maybe, or maybe not. I, I personally, I look more at the football in terms of the style, not the style, but the patterns. Like, do I see you getting more out of this group of players than should be possible, right? Do I see the team as a whole looking like greater than the sum of its parts? And if I can see that, then I'll give you credit as a manager, and I'll think, okay, that's a good sign. No matter what level you're at, we're talking about a reasonable level here. But I didn't get that with Moyes at Everton. I think, yeah, he built that team. You're right. He made some good, smart signings at times. Guys like Cahill, Pienaar, I guess Arteta. Guys that they at that time they gave him a bit more variety. I think than some of the the league was growing into a league where it had like loads of foreigners, and it had started in the late 90s and stuff, but it was still kind of 4-4-2 British centered, and he just had a bit of variation. He wouldn't always play 4-4-2, play 4-5-1. These are things that don't seem like big deals, or like they don't feel like the big decisions for managers nowadays, right? We get a bit more in depth when we're talking about it in the media, but that was what made you stand out in the early 2000s. And yeah, so I'll give him credit for what he did at Everton, but he never showed signs that this could translate to Man United. There was nothing there that showed he could dominate games or he could help his team dominate games. He was always really bad in big games as well at Everton, right? His record wouldn't be like, a few wins here and there, lucky wins. No, it was like 0 wins against any top 4 team ever for like 10 years straight, which is worrying. It's a red flag in my opinion. But again, Fergie, Scottish connection there. He probably wanted him to do well. He wanted to give him a chance, right? And yeah, this team, it's not the best. Tom Cleverley starting in centre mid. Everybody thought it would be okay because we won the league with that the year before, right?
Yeah.
But when a normal manager's there, you start seeing that controlling the game with Tom Cleverley is a big ask.
I mean, he definitely helped. I feel like, especially in Fergie's last season.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if like they've like translating this team from playing under Fergie to playing under Damien Moyes, it's gonna be very difficult because completely different styles of play. David Moyes isn't someone who likes to build up through the midfield, whereas Fergie used his midfield as the main source of build up. David Moyes is someone who likes to build up through the wings, And when you have Cleverley, if you're not building through the middle, he's virtually useless. He's actually useless because his off the ball game isn't great. He's not a great ball winner. He's literally just tidy, and you can pass the ball to him, when he's, when there are players around him, and he can still be quite comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
That's pretty much his only strengths, and but a manager like Moyes, who is so arrogant and like so egotistical, he's not going to adapt his tactics. He's someone who feels like, I have my system. It's worked for me. No trophies. It's worked for me. So you players have to abide by my system.
Yeah, he was probably looking at his squad like, my system made these guys great. Made the Leighton Baines and the Seamus Colemans and the Stephen Pienaars and the Fellainis. He was probably thinking, this is my system that brought these guys up and made these guys good players.
It may well have. It may well have benefited those players because, let's be real, Fellaini is quite a one-dimensional player. He's very good in the air, and aggressive. He runs a lot. So a team that's playing on the back foot and a team that's relying on set pieces, he's gonna be very beneficial to them. Especially playing in an advanced role as well. Pienaar, he can help them on the wing. He was helping them on the wing, as he is, very good on the ball, very good dribbler, able to hold on to the ball as well, make good decisions. Leighton Baines, always overlapping and got the whip, good from set pieces as well, which was a key part of David Moyes' game. Seamus Coleman, he's got the energy to always go up and down the pitch, overlap as well, which helps David Moyes a lot, But we're not talking about any of his, DMs when we were mentioning the key
Right.
players in this team, am I?
I remember
Yeah.
Leon Osman. You had Leon Osman and
Yeah, tidy player, good player.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought up Fellaini there, right? Because he was a very unique player, and I think this leads us into our first mistake when we look at the transfer window, right? Despite us all agreeing that he didn't do a great job, Moyes, the fact
Hey,
that he
man.
came in and he's only signed Fellaini in his first summer is kind of crazy, right? You like give a guy a chance, and he takes some blame for that because I'm sure Fellaini was his signing. I'm sure he asked for that signing. That was his player, right? But I remember that was like deadline day after they tried and failed to sign a bunch of players. They had been going for Gareth Bale all window. When it was clear he wanted to go to Real Madrid, like it was very obvious, but they just kept and I get that it's just Gareth Bale. If you think you have a small chance, you keep the lane open, right? But that was you don't get Gareth Bale, you don't get Cesc Fabregas. That was the other one that summer, and instead of getting Bale and Fabregas, you get Fellaini. Now you couldn't get two less similar midfielders in the world than Fellaini and Fabregas, right?
That's Marwan Zidane.
That was a huge step, like into us no longer being a team that controlled games. I think I don't want to put too much on Fellaini, and it's not his fault because he is what he is as a player, right? But when you sign someone like him, who really his game's not about what he does on the ball at all, pretty much. He's a very, very basic player who's also that set piece threat, Top teams shouldn't be playing players like that for more than a couple of games a season, in my opinion, honestly. Like he bring him off the bench for certain situations, yeah, can make things difficult. Of course, in the air, put him behind the striker, give you a threat from set pieces and for crosses. But him starting regularly in midfield for a Manchester United side, I mean, the fact is he didn't even make the general starting lineup, even though he was the big signing, because it didn't work. Even his manager from a previous club didn't want to play him, which is it's a bad look on Moyes as well. But yeah, I think it was a sign of things to come in terms of the people at the club not having any idea what they were actually looking for, what they were planning for. It was just more like, we need a signing, so we're gonna find whatever signing we can get in this moment, no matter what, right? No long-term thinking, no putting a puzzle together in terms of, okay, if we sign Fellaini, what's the plan with Fellaini? What's the midfield we're trying to build here, right? And the other signing in January was Mata, who I'm a big Juan Mata fan. He's the top player at Chelsea, but we signed him and he stayed at the club for 8.5 years, right? And spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know the story, in that 8.5 year period, he started in his best position, as it shows in this graphic here, number 10, for less than 10% of his games at the club, right?
It's a disgrace.
Imagine signing, I don't know, like hardly any players in world football would be able to go through that and show their best, right?
Then we're paying you so much money. Why can't you just do your job? Just do what you're being told to do. The best players can do what they're told to do. They can adapt.
Put him on the pitch, no matter where it is.
Yeah,
They'll show
put a
up,
shift in, lads. Play for the shirt.
Oh man, bro, like imagine how it must be for someone like him coming into the club. Like great move here. You know, this is he was probably what 25 when we signed him, 24 maybe,
prime,
20,
peak.
yeah, 24 I think he was. Right, that is peak. Yeah, like oh yeah, this is where I'm gonna spend my peak years. Try, you know, gonna win a bunch of trophies. Be a main man here playing with Van Persie. Really, this is gonna be great. He never once plays in this position, and it's just yeah. I don't think that happens at most clubs, but also I don't think the fans internalize that as one of the key mistakes that the club made. Right? Like if you think that's not a big deal when you're building a squad to have players playing in their best position, you really don't know what you're doing in football, right? If a team signed Messi and said, okay, we don't have anyone on the left, so we're going to start him on the left all season, right? He's not going to be the same Lionel Messi. He's a special player. He's an alien. He'll still be a world-class player, but he's still not going to be his very best, right? So you know, but yes, that alongside the relentless crossing in the ball. I think his last game, if you remember the game against Fulham, it was.
Fulham. Yeah, Dan Burn.
Yes.
Dan Burn cleared the ball. Was it more than 10 times with
Damn, it was
headers?
Dan Burn, wasn't it? Oh
Dan
my
Burn,
gosh.
big Dan Burn back at Fulham. Oh my goodness.
Dan Burn played for Fulham.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the end pretty much of the Moyes era. Nothing positive came from it. He didn't get close to establishing a style of play. And I think when he left, obviously we had Giggs take over, but you know, we were very much lost as a club. I think nobody really had a clear idea of what the next step was. Everybody, and as well as us as fans, knowing that Fergie had gone and we're not going to find another Fergie, I think an issue at United was the board believed that as well. And the board kind of started making erratic decisions. Well, the people in the board didn't understand football, right? And I think everybody kind of agrees with that now. Man, this is the Ed Woodward era. I can't remember the other guys around there, but you know, they started making signings decisions based on the reactions that they were going to get from the fan base. That's what I feel. I don't know if you guys agree with that. And once you start doing that, you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance. It's too competitive in the Premier League where every other team is trying to do that little smart thing to get ahead for you to just be doing vibes and inshallah, like in the transfer window, you know, like, oh, this big name is available. Let's go for them, right? That just doesn't work, right? So the next step after David Moyes, yeah, this is just a look at the transfers that happened that first summer. Not much, you know. That's the one thing that Moyes can always say. We didn't really back it, right? But the next season, this just runs through some of the big stuff that happens. So yeah, as well as Fabregas and Bale, Thiago Alcantara is another guy that we were supposed to sign, which, you know, I do think if we sign two of those players, yes, everything changes, you know. I think Moyes probably ends up being Man United manager for years, and then who knows what would have happened, right? But new era, and this was the Louis van Gaal era, right? And just before I look at the team, this was the transfer window we had at the start of the Louis van Gaal era. And I'll be honest, I was quite happy with this window. I remember this was just after the 2014 World Cup. And like just looking through a lot of these, Di Maria for a British record fee. Di Maria was a top player. He had had great success at Real Madrid. He had a very good tournament, I believe, that World Cup as well with Argentina. I think that's when Argentina got to the final. when they lost to Germany, right? Luke Shaw was someone who was so highly rated, and I had been a big fan since he first made his debut at Southampton. So that was a step in the right direction, I thought, as well, for the club. Radamel Falcao on deadline day, one of my favorite players at that point. It was a loan because he had serious injuries, right? And stuff. But a lot of this stuff, Daily Blend as well, love that guy, such a smart player. I was feeling very, very confident. I don't know how you guys felt.
It wasn't a bad.
It's hard to think back then. Yeah.
I mean, as far as I remember, it wasn't a bad window. You can look at it and you're thinking, okay, some good players, good young players. Someone to come and shore up the middle because we needed someone to come into the middle, and the Herrera was a good choice. So we're like, okay, we were thinking.
Okay,
that's where I'm looking at this. I'm thinking that may be where we went wrong.
And the Herrera,
because what midfielders did we have already?
Right now, so this was our squad, right? After making all those signings, so we have Carrick, Fellaini, Herrera, and Fletcher. But Fletcher at this point was he was struggling already with his
the IBS and all that.
Was it?
Nah, bro. It was
something strong.
It was ulcerative colitis or something like that.
Right.
Like
yes.
He had a lot of his intestines cut out because he was having problems. He had problems, man. He had serious problems.
Serious shit, man. Yeah, but it's bad. He still played the game after that as well. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. But come on, like so basically we just went into that thinking, Blind can play midfield sometimes, and Herrera, hopefully Herrera's
actually,
the guy.
You know what? As I was looking through the squad, I assumed there was another midfielder I was missing. I actually did. And then to think about it now, this is insane.
Wait.
Because Carrick, Fellaini and Herrera, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Remember, Mourinho had to drop back, send them with some time as well, remember?
Oh my gosh, yeah
bro.
There was that game we played with the diamond in midfield. I was thinking, this is unique, Louis van Gaal. He played, I think it was Carrick, Rooney, Di Maria, and then Mata.
Man,
I was like, man.
That was fun though.
Yeah, that was fun.
But he only did that like once or twice.
That was it. I don't think he did that. Yeah, maybe like 1.5 games he did that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought we played better doing that than a lot of the stuff he served up later on in his reign. He was a bit all over the place tactically because he started off being quite wild, trying the stuff like the diamond and all that, right? But then in terms of like,
was he the one who introduced Valencia and Young as fullbacks?
Yes, it was him.
Okay.
It was him.
Well,
you say he deserves credit for that?
To him. Yeah, he deserves credit for that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. The funny thing is, he then became really, really boring. If you remember,
do you know what it was?
Yeah.
Do you know what I think it was with Van Gaal? I think that Louis van Gaal is the kind of manager. If you look back to the let's say the Ajax team that he had, you could play the players. And these players are so confident and these players are so good at playing football that you don't really need, like, once they're in position, you just let them do what they need to, let them play their game in their position, and they're going to win games. And I think I think that's his philosophy. I think he wants to organize the team so that the defenders don't have to do too much. Like, you don't do too much on the ball. But when we're progressing up the pitch, the talent is supposed to shine, it's supposed to come through. Like if you've got it, you should be able to utilize it, And I think that was the issue. If you look at this, the point you made, if you look at this team, if you've got Fellaini, even let's say forget Carrick. Carrick is old at this point. If you've got Fellaini and you've got what's the guy, Ander Herrera in the midfield,
that's unbelievable. Oh my gosh. If a Premier League team had that now as their centre mid partnership, I wouldn't back them to stay out. Like in this competitive Premier League environment.
This is what I'm saying. So
partnership.
I think it was difficult. Obviously he made the signing, isn't it? But when you look back at it, thinking about how, because remember when okay, I know we're going to talk about this after the other players that you said later on, but when the players had the confidence to play, you saw it shine through in the Van Gaal system. It's only when he had the guy like, you know, Di Maria was acting up, Di Maria was talking about, I didn't like the food, I didn't like the weather, my family was complaining, so he was already in the headspace. He wanted to go elsewhere. But then the other players, again, Juan Mata on the right, that's not his position. Wayne Rooney as a number 10, that's not really his position. Like, a lot of these guys were kind of makeshift and filling in, and they weren't playing how they know how to play, which is another thing. Which is the reason why I think Van Gaal didn't really have the best time at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway,
One thing. At that point, you mentioned Rooney playing number 10. One thing I don't think Man U fans as a whole accepted, but you were on this very early. I remember. Rooney was finished.
Yeah, Rooney was done, bro. Rooney was done.
Relax.
No.
Let's be real.
It's not about Rooney. It's not about. Okay, let me make it clear. It's not about Rooney not being a good player. It's just me comparing Wayne Rooney from early Wayne Rooney to the Wayne Rooney. I think it was the season before Fergie left. It was that for me, his decline from then to there, like the decline was too big. So that's why I was like, this guy's done. I can't see.
It was clear. Like, he wasn't the same player, right?
No.
He lost that physicality.
He was
that spark, that anger, that
it's the anger.
He went to therapy. Yeah, he went to therapy. You know, he became a better person. He grew as a human being for his family.
Maybe it helps his personal life, innit? And but in terms of football, for his football, it didn't do much favors.
Bro,
it didn't do many favors at all.
No, bro, listen.
Put away a couple years.
I ain't having that, yeah? I ain't having that. No, listen, we see Marcos Rojo starting as a centre-back in this graphic. Fellaini as a DM, and you're talking about where Rooney is a 10.
I'm not saying that he was the issue. My point was that when Rooney had, like, to me, he was done in it. Like, he looked like he was still trying. I think that's the thing about Rooney. He's got his mindset is of a top caliber guy. Like, even if his body is not ready to go, his mind is going to take him there. You know what I'm saying? He's got the mind that will push him. But yeah, man, it wasn't the Rooney else. Yeah, go on.
He definitely wasn't. The one thing I'll say in terms of maybe looking back now, maybe Charlie's got a point in terms of maybe being a bit harsh on Rooney, because Van Persie was finished too. Looking back,
true.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I remember I wasn't getting at him as much because I don't know, Rooney. I guess Rooney had been part of our team for so long, right? And I think what annoyed me was this idea that he could play anywhere, because we've been talking about it for so long. Or when he gets old, he's gonna drop into midfield, right?
I think the Van Persie one, it was like because he was getting a lot of injuries, isn't it? So it was
exactly.
more understandable.
They caught up to him, you know. He had that spell where he finally got to stay fit for a few years and was one of the best in the whole world. But yeah, he had injuries early in his career and they started coming back again. Yeah. But yeah, Smalling and Rojo. Like, how are you supposed to play any football with that? So, my personal opinion, right? The most overrated Man U player based on the fan base. Oh, there's a few candidates, but I would say it's probably Marcos Rojo.
The most
in that period there. There's other options you could bring up. Herrera's one, right? He's an interesting one, but those two, but especially Rojo for me, because Rojo wasn't that good at anything, and it really used to piss me off because he's the type of guy that was so aggressive, right?
Yeah. But
he wasn't like, because of his aggression, he's doing these amazing tackles that it's like, wow, just like, he was just, like, okay, if I compare to Romero at Spurs, right?
I was just about to say, yeah.
At least with him, he's rough, he's reckless a lot of the time, but at least with him, you see those moments of quality in terms of his 1v1 defending. He's decent on the ball. He's good enough in the air. You see the whole picture in terms of what he has in his ability to make up for his deficiency. Rojo doesn't have any special qualities to make up for someone being so reckless, out of position, getting stupid cards. And yeah, fans loved him because of his rough
aggression, man. That's what they pay the money to go see. Excitement. They want to see the aggression. You know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
season ticket holders, and that's why the board are listening to them. You know, or not
So,
anymore, but
yeah, exactly. No, anymore. If okay, so if we look at this now with this squad, did Van Gaal how does a fourth place finish with this squad look to you guys now with hindsight?
He's done kind of well, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Like,
looks alright. Right?
the midfield, because I know Carrick didn't play the majority of games in that season.
Yeah. This was
So-
a season where there was so much change. Like, look at some of these guys that also played games. Tyler Blackett, over
Oh,
5
yeah.
appearances.
Yeah.
James Wilson, Paddy McNair. They played games. They're not a few games here and there.
Wasn't
they played serious
the
games.
other guy, Borthwick Jackson, or whatever his name was?
yeah,
Yeah.
we played a
Yeah,
couple,
yeah,
we played
yeah.
a few games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played
So
towards
yeah,
the end of the season. I remember, yeah.
he did he did bring through a lot of the youngsters, even though they weren't really ready. He was like,
Yeah,
listen,
but like,
Yeah.
you see, this is one thing. When you're bringing through youngsters again, it's about bringing through youngsters who can actually make it at Manchester United. Right?
yeah,
Tyler Blackett, I'm sure he's a good lad. It's nice for him to make his debut and stuff. Why is he playing Premier League minutes in September, October? Not like, oh, end of the season, you're resting guys. Nah, like, thick of the season, he was playing games.
because Rojo suspended.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. The team that won the league, just for context here, was Chelsea with Jose, right? City were okay, not Pep City yet, right? But it's still a good team. And I think Spurs had started being decent at this point as well. That was a competition, and I think everyone thought going into the next season, like we had a chance to build on this and actually be back, right, competing for the
Yeah.
title. Which 2 years without a title race, for fans that don't understand, that was complete and utter failure for us. Like, you know how bad that felt. Like, it felt like, wow, we have hit rock bottom. Like, we have really, this was never supposed to ever happen. Phew, we've gone through our years of pain, and it's fine because inevitably we'll be back next season. That's what it felt to me. Young and naive. But I think that was a general Man U fans thought at that point, right? The next year, well, let's look at the transfers first. We had this window, right? Very interesting window because Di Maria gone after one season, right? Which again, you brought out the rain. It's too cold, the rain, my wife, all that stuff. Whatever, Man U fans, a lot of Man U fans hate him. I would say just purely based on quality, he was arguably our best player at that point. I don't know. To be honest, who was Manchester United's best player in 2015? It's hard to say, to be honest. But he was one of them at least, at the very least, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Mata was another one, maybe. But yeah. And then we signed. Oh, Van Persie left as well. Should mention that. We signed. Yes,
Go on.
Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger. I want to start with those two because I think that's who you were alluding to, Jermaine, right? When we were talking about the midfield changes we made, right? I do remember feeling quite positive about the Schweinsteiger one, especially. Experienced leader, and he wasn't that old. He was like 30, 31, right?
Oh, Schweinsteiger?
Yeah, when we signed him.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. He looked older, right?
I mean, he was never really a physical. He was never really that kind of player anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
so
he was never someone
I thought
who was
he had
quick.
more years.
Yeah.
I thought he had some years in. And then Schneiderlin, very highly rated from his time at Southampton. I think, personally, I wouldn't get fooled by Schneiderlin in 2026.
No.
Right?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I think he was I think we've fallen for a couple of times. When a team as a whole overperforms and does well, everyone in their squad gets the credit for it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Leicester would be the extreme example.
Then
right?
he drink water.
Drink water and Kante's centre mid partnership. And all right, people didn't know Kante was better than Drinkwater, but people didn't want it to be like people didn't want to make it seem like, oh, Kante is so much better. They wanted to like kind of split the praise a little bit, right? Give him his credit. He's also a really good player. I think he actually moved for more money than Kante.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Yeah.
Chelsea paid more for him.
Which, I mean, wow. Like amazing, truly amazing. But that's just an example. I think Snyderlin was an example there. Southampton had a lot of good players. He wasn't actually one of their best players, looking back. But we fell for it.
But let's stay on this, the transfers,
Mm-hmm.
because this season, this was because Van Gaal had the chance to build on the fourth place, but I think he lost his head a bit, man, with this transfer window. Because look at all these departures; these aren't like scrubs that have left.
Raphael.
These are players who could definitely play a role at the club.
Yeah.
All of them. Like, I don't care how old. Nani still had the 5 years at least playing after leaving us. Di Maria, fair enough, whatever, innit? He had to go. Van Persie, I'm sure he could have stayed for a season. Do you know why? Especially I'm going to talk about Van Persie and even Chicharito. Bro, we had one striker that whole season, just Martial.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, I mean,
it was head loss.
The whole season.
Martial and Rooney, but Rooney didn't really play there anymore.
Yeah, Rooney didn't play as a striker. Martial, and he was 18, 19 years old?
Yeah. Yeah, teenager for sure.
Oh my
God.
Like,
yeah, you only and it's what you're saying is so true, because we didn't even get money for these guys. You know what I mean? It's not like we were selling them on to raise money, which we were then reinvesting. Like Johnny Evans, I'm pretty sure that's like 3 mil.
Yeah.
Raphael was 1 mil, wasn't it?
1 mil, yeah. I mean,
that's not
necessary.
He's a very good player. Think about the career Johnny Evans had after we sold him, right? His time at Leicester.
Yeah.
And we sold him for 3 million. Yeah, that's
crazy, man. And look, we sold Raphael for cheap, I remember. And then we signed Mathieu Darmian for how much? Like probably good money.
Yeah.
The guy.
I mean, that wasn't even an improvement, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
You can look through all of these, and none of them were improving anything in reality. Like, but what I would say about, if I'm giving any credit to the team, the Martial signing, and I know this,
that was a panic buy.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. We were not planning to do that. Imagine if they didn't. Imagine. But yeah, that was the one that at least in the long term managed to benefit the club, right? I know there's about a bunch of Man U fans that don't really respect Martial, and I don't even want to give them too much time of day, because there's so many elements that we'll get into with Martial and
Josie,
other
innit?
players.
Josie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
coming
up. A lot
of
people's reputation.
Yeah, pretty much. But one guy that wasn't on that list that did enter the squad, the striker here at the end, Marcus Rashford, right? And that was the glimmer of hope that we had coming out of this season. I remember, right? Having Rashford and Martial, that was it. That was the like, okay, at least we've got these two. The talent was so clear. Having them with Mata, I think there was for everyone a bit of hope that we could build around that. Right? And 18 goals there, Martial in his first season as a teenager. Very impressive. I think that's the only bit of credit I can give to Van Gaal. Right? We won the FA Cup, and I think a lot of people wanted him to stay after that. if you remember. But at the end of the day, he made too many decisions that didn't allow us to improve over his 2-year period.
Yeah.
I would say that's the thing. But I will say that it did feel like he had a plan, right?
Mm.
He did feel like he knew how he wanted us to play at this point. He wanted us to build up from the back and, once it gets to the final
And
third,
I also, if I want to just add here, I also think that with the way that the forwards are playing, I feel like he had some different ideas on how he wanted to push and how he wanted to help the attack with because having a season where obviously we signed the pie, he didn't really do much that season. He didn't really do much when he came. He was quite a letdown. But Rashford and Martial, they're both firing. So I think he was looking at it like, okay, this is where we're going to start. We're going to use these two as the focal point, and we can build. I personally think he did have some ideas in it, but he just never had the chance to implement.
Yeah, I think if like looking back now in hindsight, if he stayed, I think we would have been in a better position than what came after.
That's really interesting. Okay. I think assuming we got the right signings, because I don't know. That's the one thing I don't know. I don't know who he would have gone for, right? We'll get into the transfers that we made the next summer because that was a huge summer for the club. But you looked at this, and it had been 3 years since Fergie left, right? Looking at this, what do you think we needed? Right? Just obviously, we've got the benefit of hindsight.
In 2026, I'm looking at it and clearly I'm looking, okay, the defense, the right back is not looking good. Centre back looking a bit of an issue. The midfield is looking very, very shaky. And Juan Mata still playing on the right. Interesting.
Yeah, they're still on the right.
Yeah, I mean, we needed quite a lot. I'll be honest.
Yeah, we needed.
Yeah, we did need a lot. But in terms of the starting lineup, I agree. In terms of that the centre backs, Smalling, Blin, Mike Smalling, right? This was that season.
Yeah.
It kind of worked. They complemented each other.
Yeah.
I would say that was the best spell Smalling had at the club, right?
Yeah.
When he had the next in. Yeah, like that would if those are our third and fourth choice centre backs at that point, I'm okay, So I've definitely still had a lot of faith in Phil Jones at this point. Maybe it was naive.
I mean,
but
we didn't know. Like, how are we supposed to know he's gonna be
exactly
injured for the rest of his career?
Man U fans, Phil Jones was going to be a top player, okay, and that's not the narrative when you talk about him right now. But he, without injuries, would have been a top player. So he was the one that I always thought, okay, he just needs to stay fit. And if he stays fit and we get a good partner for him, then that would have been a decent set, We should have been selling Rojo.
Oh man, the Phil Jones one, yeah. Based on the kind of things that I've started to understand about the body, because I remember he put on weight. He went because he got into the gym when he first came in. I think that might have been his issue. I think going to the gym now looking at the way this thing works, yeah, especially with football. The gym is like, don't get me wrong, if you want to put on some mass, you can put on some mass. But I think he put on too much too quickly, and his body was not prepared for the change. Because when you put on weight, when you put on muscle, you're putting on weight. So you now need to learn. And he was like an all action player. He didn't leave anything. He left everything on the pitch. He's diving into tackles. He's going full blooded into everything. An extra 5 kilos when you're playing like that can change your life, bro. That could be the difference between playing another 200 games in your career or playing another 15 games in your career. Throwing your weight around like that. And so, anyway, that's just me commenting on Phil Jones, innit? I just think he was very unlucky, and I think he had a lot of bad advice. Even though we talk about medical doctors. Anyway, yeah, that's just a side note.
Yeah. I definitely agree. This was what I just saw there. This was also the year Shaw had that horror injury, right?
Oh, yeah.
PSV. Which changed him as a player.
Absolutely.
He used to be more of a force going forward.
Yeah, bro. It's confidence in your body.
Yeah. He had a lot of struggles that resulted from that injury. But yeah, I think just a bit of everything everyone could see was needed in the transfer window. But we had kind of had it was clear now. We are a team that is finishing 4th, 5th. That's kind of where we are. And we need a lot more in terms of top end quality, right? And the decision was made to sack Louis van Gaal after we won the FA Cup. I'm a fan of that personally, but I do understand your thoughts, Charlie, about maybe it would have turned out better. Because we decided to hire Jose Mourinho.